Okay, welcome to the channel. I am going to go over a couple strategies that I use to pass evals. Now, the 5 evals that I passed for bull knocks, they were using this exact strategy that I'm getting ready to go over, and that is finding stacked imbalance areas with high delta. Now, I am using range bars. This is on a Ninja Trader playback. This is for the 13th right here. And I'm going over to playback to show you because the market moves so fast. And when I'm live streaming, the market is moving so fast that I cannot explain why I'm getting ready to get into a trade. I have to explain it afterwards because it moves so fast. So I am going to show you this on a playback. Now, the main strategy that I use is this one right here, where, as you can see, we have been selling off. But on the moving average on the 5 minute was still sloping upwards. So I'm not looking to take shorts. I was only looking to take longs. Now I'm using a 40 range bar, and these are my settings that I have for the 40 range bar. I have the range Texas 40. The bubble mode is aggregated. These are the bubbles. These are the aggregated volume within milliseconds. The bottom number is the aggregated volume, and the top number is the highest traded contracts. Okay. And that is 50 right there and like 107 on the sell. And then right here, you had 126 aggregated buyers, and the highest one order trade was 22 contracts. That's the top number. So the large volume I have set to 100. You can set this to 75. I have it set to 100, and I just see less bubbles, but I want to see highly aggregated ones. Now the tick merge, I don't have this merged to 4 when I'm looking at a 1 minute chart. Most of the time I have this tick merged to 4. The imbalance ratio that I'm using is 4 times more buyers than sellers, or sellers than buyers, and the levels is 4. So I want one whole tick. I want like whole, quarter, half, 3/4. I want one whole tick of 4 times more buyers than sellers for one whole point. Now, the volume profile tick mark is just a volume profile right here. Okay. And the level 2, well, I'm not going to show that because the level 2 needs real time data, and I'm showing this on a playback. But that is my settings. Now, the reason that I would get into this trade right here is because the 5 minute moving average was still sloping upwards, and we were trading above the 5 minute was trading above the order flow bar moving average. But mainly what I'm looking at is a shift in momentum. So right here we have a buy imbalance, and we have 124 positive delta. Now, if you look at the sell off, you have 26 negative delta, 119, 27. And so you start seeing a little shift, 25 positive delta, but we sold off, a little delta neutral, and we kind of sold off. But this right here was the highest one right here, 179, and you had a sell imbalance, and we kind of sold off. Now, that would be a valid trade if the 5 minute was sloping downwards, but it wasn't. So we're looking for a momentum and shift. Now we have a buy imbalance right here with 124 positive delta. And this is the key. It has to close above the moving average. As you can see, the moving average closed, and then we started trading up. Now, if you got in kind of late and you saw this 171, that's fine. You can go ahead and get into this area right here because you're using these buy imbalances for support. So if you got into this area, let's go ahead and move forward a little bit. As you can see, you're taking a little bit of heat, not very much, just slightly, just a little bit. As you can see, this comes down and touches the imbalance area. But as you can see, the momentum on the order flow bar moving average is starting to slope upwards. Now, where you want to get out? Well, if you get in here, what I normally do, your stop is down in this area right here. What I normally like to do is I like to kind of go with the low of the previous bar. So if you get in here and you get out right up in this area, right up in here, that's about a $400 trade. That's about 22 points. So that's $440 trade. That's actually pretty nice for the first trade of the day. Now that is a stacked and balanced area. And as you can see here, I like to have them above 100. That was 100. That was 124 with stacked and balanced, stacked and balanced, stacked and balanced, stacked and balanced. Okay. This one here, this one, if you see a candle like this with 143, but the stacked and balanced is way down here, I don't like to take that. The reason I like this right here is because that is more than half the candle. And the candle closed, the 40 range bar closed above the stacked and balanced. Now, the other trade we're going to be looking at, let's go ahead and take a look at it, is an absorption trade. This is very, very important. If you got in right up in here, and let's say you take your profits here, or you even waited, and let's say you saw this 124 sell and you start taking your profits and you're out for about 37 points, about $700 trade. Okay, there is something that's extremely important to take a look at right here. And that is we had a run up and we have a pullback to the moving average. But the main thing that you want to look for is we have that is a selling bar. That's a selling bar. We have 19 negative delta. We have 179 delta. We have 166 negative delta. But the main thing you want to look for is 166 negative delta. Now, we had a seller in this 40 range bar, which is good. That's even better. Now we closed. This is very important. We closed above. So we have negative delta, that 166 negative delta. There was a lot of sellers in here and we closed above. Now, if I take a look at a volume candle, as you can see, the volume, most of the volume was right up in this area right here. Okay, let's take a look at a delta candle. A delta candle, most of that negative delta was right in this area right here. So there was a lot of sellers up in here and we closed above. That is a key thing that you need to look for. Now, with these types of trades, let's go back to a solid candle. With these types of trades, what's going to happen, especially with these absorption trades, what's going to happen is you're going to get a run up. Sometimes you're going to miss the move up, and then you get a pullback, and then you go in on the break of that, but you're looking for negative delta. But the moving average has to be sloping upwards, okay? So if you get in here, let's go ahead and move forward. Now, where are you going to put your stop? Well, if you get in here on the break of it, you want to put your stop down here, okay? So let's go ahead and move forward. And as you can see, it really popped. Now, where are you going to get out? Well, once you start seeing a momentum in the shift, okay? A shift in the momentum. When you want to get out? Well, if you're in here, you've got 166 negative delta, but we closed above. And as you saw on the volume chart and the delta chart, we saw most of the negative delta was right in here, but we closed above. So we're already in the trade. Let's say you get in a little bit late and you're up in here. Well, you took a little bit of heat right here, not very much. And then we kept closing above. Now, granted, the 5 minute is on a green bar, and the 5 minute moving average, order flow bar moving average, is sloping upwards. So that's why you only want to be looking for longs. And as you can see, if you come down into this area, you really didn't get wicked out, and you're still at a 40-point trade. Let's say you got out right here because you saw that sell imbalance and we looked like we were starting to break and you went on ahead and got out. That's still a $25,500 trade. So let's go ahead and keep going. Right there. Right there, I probably would have gotten out because so you're right in here. You start getting a red candle, 45 negative delta, and you start closing below, you can go ahead and take your profits. Start taking some profits right here. Maybe you're in multiple accounts and you start peeling some off. Let's go ahead and keep moving forward. Or you can wait until you start closing below the moving average. Right here, you started seeing a shift in the momentum. Right up in here, you saw a sell imbalance, 4 times more sellers than buyers. So let's say you go ahead and get out at that area right there. Well, if you got in right here where the absorption took place, 166 negative delta, we closed above. We got 110 sellers that came in within milliseconds and they got absorbed. This seller, 124 seller, is getting squeezed out. And then let's say you just go ahead and get out right here where the close above the moving average. Well, that's about a 50-point trade. That's $1,000 trade for you in one trade. So this is what I look for. And this is how I passed 5 evals. Okay. I am looking for things like this. I'm looking for high delta. When I say high delta, it has to be like at least above 75. Okay. It really depends on the type of environment that you're in. Sometimes you can go with 75. Sometimes you need to go with over 100. You just have to get a feel for the type of market that you're in. But I want the buy and balance to be at least half of the candle, okay? And it has to close above that buy and balance. Then you can go ahead and get in here and then start riding it up. And then once you start, you got a little spinning top right there and 114 delta, but it closed below. Maybe you want to start taking profits right there. And let's say you take a 400, let's say you take 20 points, $400 trade. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So now you're in $400, and all of a sudden you're out and it starts moving up. And then you see this pullback. Then you see the 166 negative delta, but we closed above it. And you also see 110 aggregated sellers in there. Granted, you have these sellers up here, but these sellers right here got absorbed in this whole area and we closed above. So let's say you get in there and you start riding up and you get out in this consolidation area for about 50 points. That's $1,000 trade. So right now you've done 2 trades and you're up $1,400. This is the type of stuff that I look for day in and day out. And the thing is, you might have to sit and wait for an hour, for 2 hours for this to happen. But you have to be patient and you have to take these setups when you see them. This is the type of stuff you're looking for. You're looking for a run up. Okay, you're looking for a nice run up. The only stacked and bounce we see is right here. Okay. Now, if you want to try to get in there and then once you get up into this area, how I do this is if I got into right here and then I see this stacked and bounce right here, I'm already moving to a break even plus 1 or 2 points up in this area. Okay. And sometimes I'll get stopped out and that's fine. And if it reverses, I'll get right back in. But this right here, what I want to point out is we have a run up and we have a pullback. We have 89 negative delta and we closed above it. So let's just go ahead and go through this and see if the trade works out for you. Now, if you want to, you could go ahead and lock in. Once you see this spike up here, you can go ahead and move to a break even if you want to, or you can let the trade breathe and see if it works out. Well, we had 14 That's not high. 89 seems pretty decent. See, right now, I'd be cutting the trade because this is just taking too long. And I do miss trades, and that's totally fine. As you can see, this trade is taking quite a while to work out. But if you got in right up in here, right now you're looking at about 18, about 15 points. That's a $300 trade for you. Y- And then all of a sudden it keeps working out. Now, as you can see, the moving average is sloping upwards. Moving average is sloping upwards, and we're in the trade. Okay. Had a little bit of boredom right there. Right there. I'd probably, you have 100 and some aggregated 104 aggregated sellers. It had 166 negative delta. You had one contract with, you had one order with 100 contracts in it. So more than likely, I'd be getting out about right there, and that's about a 30, maybe you got out right up in this area for about 30 points. Okay, so maybe you make a $600 trade. Well, you made about 14 already, and then if you got in this trade, you're already up about $2,000 if you're trading the mini. We're starting to close below. There you go. Just start cutting the trade right there. Right there is where you want to be cutting the trade. Right here. Okay. If you got in, let's say you got in because we moved up, we had a pullback, and we saw 89 negative delta, but we closed above it. They got absorbed. So let's say you got in this area and your stop is down here. Your stop is like at 10, 12 points. Okay. It's like a $250 stop, roughly about $200 stop. Let's say you get out right up in this area right here. Okay, that's about 36 points. That's $700 trade. Let's say you get out right here at about 32 points. Well, that's still a $650 trade for you. But you have to sit and wait for these trades, and you have to stay hyper focused because on a 40 range bar, this can move quite fast. And the thing is, sometimes you're going to miss trades because it just moves too fast and you cannot react quick enough. And that's okay because there's always another trade right around the corner. Now, what you want to do is you want to keep looking to the left right here, and you want to see that you got 104 sellers, 131, 112 buyers, 127 sellers, 163 sellers. There's a lot of sellers in this area right here. There is quite a bit of sellers up in this area. Okay, looks like we're starting to see a shift in the momentum. And as you can see right there, this right here, we had 125 aggregate sellers. We had a buy and bounce that really was kind of right at the 50%. We had 81 positive delta. Now, if you get into a trade like this, you have to understand the way that I play this is I will get into the trade. And as soon as I get about 5 points, I'll go ahead and move to a break even. And as soon as I see slight weakness, I'll just go ahead and cut the trade. I'll cut the trade or just take a break even. Okay? But that's just how I like to trade. Right here, let's take a look at this. You had a run up and you have a pullback. You have 10 negative delta right off the stacked and balanced area, and we closed above it. Well, that 10 delta is really not that high. And as you can see, it moved quite fast. And as you can see, that was 10 negative delta. We closed above it, but you got stopped out. Okay. Quite frankly, I wouldn't even taken that trade because a 10 negative delta. I wanted to see pretty decent high negative delta and a close above it for absorption. That's kind of what I want to see. So, and also, you might have gotten stopped out on this trade too if you would have taken, because you would see the buy and bounce, 125 sellers and a close above it. That is a trapped seller. And then let's say you get in here and then you got stopped out about here. Okay, well that's fine. If you get stopped out, you take a $250 hit, but you've already made like $1,400, I think. So that's fine. But don't be taking too many hits because then if you start giving money back, you got to know when to quit. let's go ahead and look not and like I say, this is a failed trade, and that's perfectly fine. You wanna look at the 5 minute at the moving average. What is the 5 minute bar doing? What is the 5 minute bar doing? Is the 5 minute bar green? Is the 5 minute bar in a kinda like a micro pullback? Is the 5 minute order flow bar moving average sloping upwards? Well, if it is, you need to be taking longs, not shorts on the range bar, on this 40 range bar. Right here, you have a run up and you have a pullback area right here. Okay. You have 116 delta with a buy and bounce, but it got absorbed. You have 262 negative delta. Then you had a bar that closed here, but that was not negative. Okay. That was not negative. So you if you want to take trades like this, that is perfectly fine because you're getting in on a micro pullback. But the one thing that I really want to point out is that 262 negative delta is quite high because look at all of this. You have 123, 179, 130, 239. You had absorption up in this area, and now you got 262 negative delta. That to me is a little concerning, so I just won't take the trade. And that's perfectly fine. Now, I would have missed out, which is perfectly fine. You're not going to get them all. Now, this is what I really want to point out is areas like this. So you have a big pullback. You have a sell imbalance with the -7 delta, and we closed above it. Yes, that is absorption area. However, look at the moving average is sloping downward. We came up to the moving average. We came up to that sell and balance area right here, and we're kind of bouncing off. These are not types of trades you want to take. You don't be taking absorption trades like this one. This one pulled back. You have 177 negative delta, and we closed above it. Did the trade work out? Yes, the trade worked out probably for about 20 points. I just do not take the trades because my trading plan tells me do not take them when you're below the moving average. When you're below the moving average, and that moving average was sloping downwards, you don't know is it going to pull back up and then dump right back down. And it can happen pretty quickly. That's why I always look at a 5 minute context to see what the 5 minute moving average is doing. And if it's sloping upwards, then I take the trades. Like right here, we have a run up. We have a buy and bounce area with 179 positive delta. We pulled back a little bit, but once you break this area, you put your stop down here. And then you can go ahead and get in for about 10 points. Or if you get the pullback area, and then you go ahead and get out in this area for about 25 points. That's perfectly fine. Or you can get in right here, start seeing that absorption up there, and then just cut your trade. Okay. Well, actually, you would get in here, but once you saw this absorption, you just cut the trade. Okay. I don't care if it's not a 2 to 1, 3 to 1. That's fine. You make yourself about 10 points, 5, 10 points. That's fine. You have to protect your capital, and then you get a little pullback, and then you get a nice move back upwards. That's fine. If you want to take plays like this, run up and a pull back, and you get a positive delta and a close above it, that's fine. And then you got yourself a nice little trade for about 20 points. But do not be given money back. And if you do get money back, then just go ahead and know when to stop. But that's all I have. I just wanted to go over the two strategies that helped me pass 5 evals.